guys, it's Althea Hearst, managing broker over at RLAH Real Estate, and welcome back to my channel. Be sure to subscribe, and yeah, let's hop into this. So today, you guys, I want to talk to you all about something that I feel like a lot of realtors struggle with, including myself sometimes, and this is honestly like one of my biggest struggles. But what I also notice is that as I continue to talk to more realtors one-on-one, I'm seeing that a lot of realtors don't admit this out loud, right? We're not talking about it out loud. And if I be honest too, a lot of realtors feel this sense of being alone because we're not having these candid conversations with each other in the industry. And we feel secluded and like, we're the only ones that's experiencing something when in actuality, we are not. But here is the thing that I notice a lot of realtors, including myself, that we have been struggling with, that we have been doing. And that is simply doing every freaking thing yourself. And when you hear me say the word freaking, I'm not a big cursor. So I only really curse if I get like angry. But if I say the word freaking, like that means this is hitting a spot, right? It's triggering me, right? But no, seriously, doing every freaking thing yourself, myself, ourselves, whatever. And if you're that agent who is literally like handling every call, every text message, every follow-up, every post, every document, every addendum, every call, every freaking detail, this video is for you. I think you need to stay tuned. And if that's not you, still stay tuned because you'll learn something, okay? And I want for us to also keep this in mind too, that we don't respond this way because, we think that it's the right way to do it. And we're not responding this way, not because you're wrong. Like you're not responding that way. It's really because the approach that we have is the very thing that's holding us back. And we have this approach because if we be honest for a second, once you get started in real estate, you start this business and you begin to think to yourself like, hey, I'm fresh out of school. I've passed the class. And now, boom, I'm going to have all of these resources at my fingertips. There are going to be so many people that want to help me. There are going to be so many people that's going to want to work with me. There's going to be a guide and a blueprint that I can just follow. And boom, I'm going to take off from there. And then you slowly realize that real estate doesn't work that way. You get licensed, you enter into the industry, and then you're winging it, right? You're trying to figure it out all on your own. You are having a hard time with people answering the phone for you. Others are not responding. Agents may not be extremely nice to you, and you're switching brokerages and you just don't know where you're footing or where you fit. And you simply are just starting to feel like, you know what? I got to figure this out and I got to do this on my own. And the thing is, most of us didn't choose to do everything ourselves at first, okay? Because of what I just said and mentioned, it just kind of happened. It kind of just fell that way. We got licensed. Yes, that was the goal, right? And ultimately, you wanted to help families and you wanted to make money. That was another goal. But you didn't have a team. You did not have those systems. So you figured it out as you went. You kind of just, like I said, you winged it. You figured it out as you went. And honestly, that hustle probably worked for just a little while. Okay. Either you closed deals or you didn't. You stayed busy or you didn't. You felt proud of yourself or you didn't. But there's a point where what helped you start truly becomes what keeps you stuck. Can I tell you guys that again? There is a point in this business where what helps you get started becomes what keeps you stuck. And this is why I always train my agents and tell my agents that every new level you desire to reach and every new level that you reach is going to require a different strategy, a different mindset, and a different you. And I think I've said this in a few videos as well, that as you continue to grow, those little voices in your head, they get louder. They don't go away. They don't silence. They don't shut up, right? They get extremely loud. So that mental toughness, that muscle of mental toughness that you have within yourself has to consistently be exercised in order for you to continue to scale, okay? And here's another truth, right? Being in control feels safe. It feels safe to us. It feels like, okay, you know what? I got it. At least I know if I mess it up, I messed it up. At least I can take accountability for it. It feels safe, right? However, it's extremely costly. And that's the thing. Do you want to be safe and expensive, or do you want to kind of make more money, but also take a risk? Okay. So doing everything yourself often looks like control, but underneath of that, you all, it's usually fear. Usually we're just afraid. Okay. We're afraid of something. We're afraid that no one will do it right. That's the biggest one. I see that all the time, right? A lot of people say, well, I'm just afraid. I don't think nobody's going to do it like me. No one's going to talk to my clients like me. No one's going to give the same experience I give. No one is going to answer the questions the way that I answer them. No one is going to be able to duplicate my energy. Like I'm talking about myself, right? Because these are things, these are things that I've battled with myself, right? So you have this fear that no one will do it right. You have this fear that it'll take longer to explain it than to just do it, right? How many times have you told yourself, like, you know what, I'm gonna hire a VA and I'm gonna show them how to do all of these things so that way I can free myself up. And then once you sit down and you determine, oh my gosh, it's actually going to take a lot for me to teach somebody how to do this. And I honestly don't have the time or even the energy or the desire to answer their questions and provide them clarity. Forget it. This is not going to work. I'll just do it, right? So it'll take longer for you to explain it versus you doing it. So you feel that way. And you also fear that you'll lose money, right? You're like, hey, I don't want to hire somebody to do these things and they do it wrong and then I lose money, right? And I agree, right? I honestly agree that hiring the wrong person can be extremely costly. And keeping the wrong person on your team also can be extremely costly. But hiring the right person hiring the right person, trust me, can also be extremely profitable. Okay. And then you can also fear that, something will fall through the cracks. And if they do, you don't know. And now you're out of the blue and you like, listen, we're not even on one same page. Okay. So these are a few fears that I see agents battle with. And trust me, I get it. I'm a top producing agent, over 100 million in sales. I'm a broker now. I've had W-2 employees. I've had contractor employees. I understand. I get it, especially in real estate where mistakes can be extremely costly and you don't want to have to pay for another mistake. And also, you don't want to get sued. Like, these are real thoughts and emotions that we battle with. But here's the truth. Here's the truth about this. Control feels safe, but it quietly limits your growth. That's the truth. The control may feel safe, but quietly is limiting your growth and your scalability. When you control everything, everything depends on you. And when everything depends on you, your business can only grow as far as your time allows. And if you are not putting people in place to duplicate yourself, to duplicate your systems, to duplicate your experience, to duplicate your processes, then you are essentially holding yourself back. And when everything depends on you, your business can only grow as far as your time allows. And even then, if your time allows it to be growth, that does not mean you won't experience burnout that will cause you to mentally and physically shut down. And the thing about that is, you don't have the time nor the money to experience that. Period. Period. So I hope you heard me clearly when I said that. Okay. Busy does not mean productive. And I know you all have heard that before. Busy does not mean productive. This is where a lot of agents get confused, and you're thinking because you're busy, you're being productive, and that is far from the truth. You're busy all day, your phone never stops, and your inbox is full. But when was your last closing, right? When was the last time you got somebody on the contract? But when you look it up, the business doesn't feel lighter, does it? Like, you're looking at this and you're like, you know what, listen, I feel busy. I feel like I'm doing things, but it doesn't feel lighter. And also, it's also not aligning with the goals and the vision that I have for myself. So it doesn't feel clear. And now it doesn't feel scalable. And you're asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? And that's because activity and progress are not the same thing. And you have not been able to differentiate them. I told you I say words wrong, but you have not been able to separate them, right? Activity and progress are not the same. When you do everything yourself, your time gets eaten by admin. You're not an administrative assistant. Your times get eaten by coordination. You need a transaction coordination because doing these transactions behind the scenes takes a lot of time. Your time gets eaten by reacting, right? Some of these conversations can be being held by an inside sales assistant, an outside sales assistant, or even an administrative assistant. And your time is being consumed by putting out fires. Now, I do believe believe that inside of our transactions, there are some things we do have to communicate about, right? I wholeheartedly do not believe that you should be that agent who ratifies a deal and then you're just gone with the wind, right? And no one hears from you and there's somebody else who's handling everything. I do believe that you should still be a part of your process and your transaction. However, you should not be carrying the main load of it all, okay? And the things that actually grow the business are going to be your strategy, your visibility, your relationships, and planning. Get pushed to later. Okay. Again, the things that actually grow the business: strategy, visibility, relationships, and planning. All of these things get pushed to later, meaning I'm just going to do this later. Why? Because you're focused on this admin work. You're focused on this transaction coordination. You're focused on reacting to this last client. You're focused on putting out this fire. And you have not been able to even focus in on the things that's going to move the needle forward. And now you're behind because you don't have movement. You don't have any movement. And then what happens is that later turns into months, and those months turn into years. And then long and behold, guess what? You become the bottleneck. So here's the part that's hard to hear, but it's also extremely important. I told you guys, even in the podcast, I said, listen, I am truly working on my tone and my delivery because I understand that I am a very straightforward talker, right? I am a person that's just going to say exactly what it is, and I don't like gray areas. I'm the nicest person that you'll meet, right? But if you ask me a question, I'm going to be honest with you. And I am bold enough to risk friendship, relationships, and influence due to the truth. I am. I really am. Okay. So here's the part that's hard to hear, but it's important. Okay. At a certain point, you become the bottleneck in your own business. You begin to hold yourself back. And it's not because you're incapable, but it's because you're human. You can only do but so much, and there are so many calls you can take. There are only so many clients that you can manage well, and I say this well because there are people who are like, listen, I can accept all of these clients, but are you really managing these clients well? Are each of them truly getting the full 100% experience that you can provide to them, or is something falling through the crack? Okay. And you can also only handle so much mental space, right? You don't have the big brain capacity. None of us do. You only have a threshold of which you can truly handle. And the thing about this is that this is only just for the business. We have not even incorporated your personal life. If you're a parent, a mom, a dad, if you're a caretaker of a sibling or another parent, right? We're not talking about your recreational life, okay? We're not talking about just your regular standard of living. This is just business, okay? And with that, it's only so much that you can handle. So when everything is routing through you, nothing moves faster than you. That's the truth. When everything is taking route through you, nothing, including your business, can move faster than you. And that's not a character flaw. That's just capacity. That's all it is. It's just the fact that you don't have capacity. And it's okay. It is okay. Self-reliance is not the same as leadership. And you all have to remember that. Self-reliance is not the same as leadership. And a lot of realtors confuse independence with leadership. And they're not the same. You're sitting around saying things like, you know what, listen, I don't need help. Or, hey, I got this, or I can just do it myself. But leadership isn't about doing everything. It's about deciding what only you should be doing and delegating the rest. Leadership is about deciding what only you should be doing and delegating the rest. Because the truth is, my friend, you do need help. The truth is, my friend, you don't got it. The truth is, my friend, you can't just do it by yourself. Your highest value that you can offer to your business right now is not in your paperwork. It's also not in your addendums. It's also not chasing down the documents. It's also not filling out property inspections. It's also not about the repetitive tasks. That is not your highest value in your business right now, nor is that going to give you your highest return on your own self-investment. Your highest value is going to be one, decision making. And I say this all the time to my agents, and I'm going to tell you all this too. If you're going to be in this business, if you're going to be a CEO of your own business, if you're going to be in this industry, you got to be able to make a decision. And you got to be able to boldly stand beside your decision. And whatever decision you make, if it's a great decision, you celebrate it. If it's a bad decision, you hold yourself accountable and you learn from it. But you got to make a decision. And sometimes you got to make them just like this. Okay. So your highest value is in your decision making. Your highest value is going to be in your relationships. Your highest value is going to be in your vision. Your highest value is going to be in your strategy and your systems. Your highest value is simply going to lay inside of your presence. And when you're buried with everything else, your real estate value, your real value gets buried too. And no one sees it. And is not behooving you or your business or your income. So get this through your mind that delegation is not abandonment. Can I say that again? Delegation is not abandonment. You delegating tasks is not you abandoning your business or abandoning your client. So let me clear this up really quickly. When you're delegating, this does not mean that you disappear. It does not mean that you're losing control. And it also doesn't mean that you're lowering your standards. That's not what delegation is. Delegation means that, hey, I'm boldly, confidently building a business that doesn't collapse when I step away. If I need a break, if I need to go on vacation, if unfortunately I have a family emergency, if I just need a moment to myself, heck, if I get sick, I want to know that my business is not falling apart because I decided to take a step back. And you all have to understand that. And I could talk about this wholeheartedly because there was a moment in my business in 2021 where my father passed away, and I had been a caretaker for my dad for years up until his passing. When he passed away in the third quarter of the year, I was not available. I did not answer a phone call. I did not take a consultation. I did not go to a meeting. I did not attend a closing. I did not do anything. But what I did do is that I had a team and I put people in place to do the things that needed to be done. And within that 3 months, that one quarter, my team closed 13.1 million in that one quarter. And guess who was not present? Me. So delegation is means when you're building a business, that business is not going to collapse when you step away. And I say when because there's going to come a time in your business when you have to step away. And that can start small, you all. You can start small. I'm not telling you to go out here right now and hire a W-2 employee and hire a VA and hire a OSA and hire a ISA and hire an administrative assistant and hire an operations manager. I'm not telling you to go out and do all of those things, but I am saying start small. And that might be starting with a transaction coordinator. A lot of us say, hey, I don't know if I could really afford a transaction coordinator right now. I'm not sure if I want to do this, but the answer is yes, you do. Most transaction coordinators are paid at the end of the transaction. You don't really have to pay them up front. So you might start with a transaction coordinator. You may start with a showing assistant. You can either get a showing assistant or you can partner with another agent. Heck, you can even start a team. This might even start with a CRM workflow, because don't let me get started there, because I know a lot of y'all don't have y'all CRM together and you keep saying it year after year after year after year. I need to get my system together. Oh my God, I just need to work on my system. You know what? I'm just going to do my systems and it's still not done, right? So it might be just getting your CRM together. It might be getting your templates together. It's just your systems. It's all of those things. All right. So you don't have to hire a whole team right now or even tomorrow, but you do have to stop pretending like you can do this forever by yourself, because you can't. And we're getting older, and that's part of life. We're going to continue to get older, and the older that we get, the more momentum sometimes we lose, the energy that we lose, and it becomes a stress on our body. You cannot do this all by yourself forever. And it's time for you to stop pretending like you can. Again, you don't have to hire a whole team today or tomorrow, but you could get started small. And here's why staying small feels comfortable. Okay. And this is going to be another layer to this that doesn't get talked about enough either. When you feel like you're staying small and doing everything yourself, you're doing everything yourself, that keeps you busy enough to avoid the uncomfortable stuff, right? So you're in your business, you're doing everything that keeps you small, but it also keeps you feeling comfortable and busy enough so that way you can avoid that uncomfortable stuff, right? It's basically an avoidance tier. Like, hey, let me just do this because it feels good, it's comfortable. I know I might get a closing or I might get some traction or just a little bit of activity, but it keeps me away from this uncomfortable stuff, right? The uncomfortable side. And the uncomfortable side, honestly, is the bigger thinking, expanding your mind, the systems, the leadership, and the vulnerability of growth. If you want to grow, you got to be vulnerable. And growth requires you to make decisions. I told you guys that. Delegation requires trust, and scaling requires letting go. Let me say that again. Growth requires decisions. Delegation requires trust. Scaling requires you, my realtor friend, letting go. Staying small, yeah, may feel predictable, might feel good, but predictability doesn't build freedom. And if you got into this business and you became a 1099 employee, well, not even an employee, a 1099 contractor, and a CEO of your own business, I believe you did this because you want freedom. And you did not hire yourself to extensionally be your worst employee. You didn't do it. So here's what changes when you stop doing everything. When you stop trying to do it all, a few things happen. You think more clearly, okay? And this is what I'm going to tell you guys too. Not only do you think more clearly, you get a lot more momentum. You get a lot more push, right? Because now you know your superpower. You know what areas you need to focus in on, okay? So you think more clearly. When you're thinking clearly, you're showing up better for your clients. You stop resenting the business you once prayed for. Let's talk about that, because how many times have you prayed for your business to look a certain way? And then once it got there, you ask yourself, do I even like this business anymore? Is this what I really want? And you don't even realize that you're resenting the same exact thing you prayed for. And it's honestly because you have bottlenecked yourself. So if you start to delegate, you stop resenting the business you once prayed for, and you finally have that space to grow into yourself, into your business, and into that next level vision, right? Your business will stop feeling like it's a job that you created, and it'll start feeling like something that actually is supporting you. And that's what you need, okay? So I'll just close this out and say, if you are exhausted, overwhelmed, or you're just quietly frustrated, it might not be because you're doing real estate wrong. That might not be the issue. The issue just may be because you're trying to do it all alone, and that's not how it was meant to be. Even the Bible says seek wise counsel, right? You don't have to do this alone. And if you want help figuring out what to keep, what to delegate, and how to build something that actually feels sustainable, feel free to reach out to me. You could comment below. You can write me on Instagram. You could join one of my classes. If you're in the DMV area, come and join RLAH. I would love to have a conversation with you. Just let's talk. Let's talk. We can all have a conversation. And if this hits home for you, subscribe. And if you know another agent needs it, send it to them, have them subscribe. But also keep in mind, lastly, that you're not meant to carry this by yourself. You're not. All right, you guys. See you guys later. I'm Althea Hearst, managing broker at RLAH, and I hope that this video was good for you. I'll see you all on the next one. See ya.